This is the Unparalleled Elevation. It has a very nice flared out shape, and it has a couple cuts on the profile of the yo-yo before it leads into the rims. The rims themselves have a fairly rounded shape, making the yo-yo very comfortable. We'll get into that part later on in the video. Moving on to the cup of the yo-yo, it's a very basic looking cup and has a plain look to it. The rims of the yo-yo carry its roundedness over until the cup of the yo-yo and has this step that goes down into the cup to where the profile of the yo-yo is flat. Now for the specs. We're going to be comparing this yo-yo to the Yo-Yo Factory Shutter and the SF Cadence. If you take a look on the profile of the yo-yo, they actually have a similar design on their rims. However, the elevation has a slightly more angular rim than the shutter, and the shutter has a steeper profile and design compared to the elevation. For the cup, the elevation and the cadence look almost the same. However, the cadence has a more organic look and has smooth cuts leading down to the center compared to the elevation that has these cuts that lead to the flat center. Now moving on, how does this yo-yo play? First of all, when I got this yo-yo, I was really hyped about it. I saw this yo-yo on Unparalleled's Instagram post and the shape looked quite interesting and seemed like a good yo-yo. Once I got the throw, my first impressions when I threw the yo-yo was that it was awesome. The yo-yo felt light yet very powerful, and it felt like such a great and fun throw. After a few weeks of playing with it, I started to notice the weight on this yo-yo. It felt really solid and it had a nice solid vibe to it. I started to notice how powerful the yo-yo was because while I was trying to move the yo-yo, it felt like it had a lot of spin, even after doing a lot of my tricks and doing a bind at the end. Now going into more depth of how the yo-yo plays, let's dive into the characteristics of this throw. For binds, this thing gets a solid 10. In the bind scale, it's more on the slippier binds than it is on the snaggy binds. And a slippy yo-yo is better than a snaggy yo-yo because you can easily do more compact tech and slack tricks without the throw's response system kicking in without intending to. This yo-yo is slippery ever since I first got it. Despite me using a fairly thick string, namely the Project 44 Mega 14S string, the yo-yo still was slippy. However, with that being said, the elevation easily gets a 10 on me in terms of binds, because it's easier to adjust your binds with more slack or replacing the pads of the yo-yo, which I did, rather than having your yo-yo snag up on you while doing complex tricks and suddenly get hit with 64 grams worth of aluminum and leave you with a whole mess of strings and knots. Regens work great with this throw, mainly because of the shape of this thing. Those beefy rims make regenning this yo-yo really satisfying to execute and really shows how much power this thing carries over time. But because it's a yo-yo that's slightly wider than most, it does vibe when the regen isn't controlled properly, so the elevation gets an 8 for regens. For comfort, referring to how comfortable the yo-yo is in your hand when catching it, I'd give this throw a 10. Like what I said earlier in the comparison section of the video, that the rims are quite similar to the shutters, and the shutter's design is one of the most comfortable I have. So catching this thing is just great. It's also quite a larger yo-yo, which means more surface area for your hand to grip onto. For the finish, I give it a 10. This yo-yo's anodizing is top tier. It's so smooth, and for the grinds it does so well. The power translates well into grinding this yo-yo and makes sure the grinds last long enough to execute most of your grind tricks. Pretty much every grind trick you have, you can do it using the elevation. This yo-yo has such a simple and plain design, but it still manages to execute those grind tricks without any difficulty. Now this throw came in stock with Unparalleled's 5-cut bearing, but that bearing had a couple issues. Even after cleaning it, the bearing still wouldn't spin properly. So I put a center track on it, and now it spins much better. The yo-yo interacts with the string very smoothly, and at first I couldn't even feel the yo-yo spinning because there was no vibe at all. I'm giving it a solid 10. For catchability, this thing is fairly wider than most throws, and given this yo-yo's size overall, it's actually really easy to execute your tricks with this. Slacks, whips, and hooks can all be easily executed, and I haven't found much difficulty with any of my tricks missing with this one. The elevation gets a 9 for me. Power is something I'd highly emphasize on this throw. Because of those beefy rims, most of the weight is actually focused on the edge. This makes the yo-yo quite powerful, and it makes it easily go through most of your lengthy tricks. It's not the most powerful yo-yo that I have, that title goes to the Yo-Yo Factory Bind, but for a monometal, this thing is quite a beast in terms of power. I rate this throw a solid 8 out of 10, which is the highest I'd give for most monometals. My definition of momentum basically translates to how much power the yo-yo can continuously have while moving on the string, as well as how nimble the yo-yo is. And for momentum, the elevation gets a solid 10 from me. This throw definitely carries the momentum throughout the duration of your tricks, and getting this thing to move isn't difficult at all. Like I said for momentum, this yo-yo definitely carries its weight very well, and is actually quite nimble for a powerful yo-yo. However, given that it is quite powerful and carries a lot of momentum, it's not the easiest to move across the string with high speed. It's definitely possible to go fast with this, however, it will take slightly more effort. This throw gets a 7 for speed. In terms of stability, the power of the yo-yo actually helps with this aspect. Doing most of my tricks, I don't find the yo-yo tilting on me almost at all, and given how well it carries its power, the yo-yo remains very stable. So given the shape of the yo-yo, there's very little contact between the string and the yo-yo. With that in mind, horizontal tricks on this yo-yo work really well, and maintains its axis the same way. So for stability, this yo-yo gets a 9, and for horizontal, the yo-yo also gets a 9. The main reason why I didn't give it a 10 was that it wasn't the best at these categories. However, it still stands its grounds, and still deserves that 9. Overall, this yo-yo is without a doubt one of the best monometals I've ever had. In the tier list, I'm definitely putting this yo-yo on the S tier. This thing is powerful and light, it's really fun and comfortable, and it's just a great yo-yo. Would I recommend this yo-yo? Absolutely, I would. The stock on this thing is numbered and quite few, so be on the lookout for these in YoyoExpert when there's a next restock. There will be buy links for this yo-yo in the description below for when it becomes available again. And if you're planning on making a purchase, I hope you guys enjoy the yo-yo and have a ton of fun with it like I have. Leave a like if you guys also enjoyed this video, and if you want to see more reviews and content like this, be sure to click that subscribe button, and if you guys have any questions you'd like to know, post them down in the comments, and I will see you guys next time.